Welcome to the Becoming You show, where limits get torched and possibility takes the mic. I'm Leah Rowling, human in permanent beta, neurostrategist, mom to 3 amazing humans, married to 1 legendary soul, and your no fluff permission slip to stop waiting. Every week, we rewire brain patterns, smash hand-me-down mindsets, and dive into the daring, identity-shifting conversations most people dodge. Ready to turn potential into proof? Grab your pen. Your next chapter starts now. Hello, my friends. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the Becoming You show. I am your host, Leah Rowling, and I am so glad that you're here. I know I say this a lot in all of the podcasts, but truly very few do this work. Very few do this work of leadership development and personal mastery and self-exploration. And those that do become role models. They have a ripple effect on not just the people in their immediate family, but in every single life that they touch. So I honor you, and I honor you in listening to this conversation that we're going to have today. This is one that I really wanted to bring forward because I think it's one that every single one of us needs to sit with. We need to sit with it honestly, quietly, and courageously, right? So I'm going to start with a question. How much of your day do you spend in frustration? And before you answer, before you think through, we're just observing. There's no judgment. I just want us to think, how much time do we spend in frustration? How much time do we spend in annoyance, irritation, right? How much time in comparison, worry, overwhelm, right? And then how much time do you spend in joy, in calm, in curiosity, in compassion? Without judgment, just notice. Because when we get really honest about that, we begin to see the emotional landscape of our life, right? And I want to open your mind to something today. There's another path, right? A path that's not only available to you right now, but one that will completely change how you feel, how you lead, how you connect, and even how your body functions, right? This isn't just about feeling better day to day, right? That's not this conversation, right? It's not just about having more peace or more joy, although those things are incredible, right? This is about understanding that the emotions that you manage or mismanage, right, are literally shaping your health, your energy, your hormones, your inflammation, your longevity, everything. So today we are going to unpack the real reason we're unhealthy and what to do about it. It's a big topic, but I think I'm ready for it, and I hope you are too. So, frustration, drama, overwhelm, right? We think these things are just part of life, part of leadership, part of parenting, part of being a human, but they're not. I'm not talking about clean pain. This is dirty pain. This is indulgent pain, okay? These type of emotions, frustration, drama, overwhelm, irritation, right? They're symptoms, right? And if we're really honest, they're the symptoms of a culture that never learned to regulate emotions. They're a symptom of a culture that got really good at sweeping feelings under the rug and fining them away, okay? We try to fix our health by fixing our bodies, right? Changing what we eat, how we sleep, what supplements we take, how much we meditate, how much water. Like these are the typical things that doctors ask when you go in there for your physical, right? Are you sleeping? How are you eating? Are you moving your body? Are you drinking enough water? Maybe they ask that. Maybe they ask if you're meditating. But what if the real reason that we're unhealthy has nothing to do with our body and everything to do with the emotions we refuse to feel? So a few weeks ago, I was coaching a leader um, at an organization who came to me completely exhausted. I was in the boardroom, kind of bringing in the executives one at a time, and I almost could feel her energy before she walked in the door, right? Completely exhausted. And she said this to me. She said, Leah, I don't even recognize myself anymore. I'm so frustrated with my team. They gossip, they complain, they resist everything that I ask. And honestly, Leah, I'm done. I'm just over it. And then she paused and she said something that I'll never forget. And it's the basis for this podcast, this conversation today. She said this, I think I've started acting like them. And in that moment, for me, everything clicked because what she didn't realize was that the way she was showing up at work, the irritation, the tone, the reactivity was the same energy she was carrying home. Her leadership had become her lifestyle, and her body was showing it. She wasn't sleeping, she was stress eating, and she felt this constant exhaustion that no vitamin, no workout, no vacation, no amount of water, no amount of meditation could fix. That's emotional mismanagement. It's not dramatic. It doesn't come on like the flu. It's daily. It's that slow leak of unregulated energy. It's what happens when we carry unprocessed emotions into every space we walk into. When the stress from our team becomes the tension in our home, quite literally, the weight in our body and the clutter and the chaos in our mind. Okay? Her story isn't unique. Of the 9 executives that I coached that day, 100% of them were misregulated. 100% of them came in exhausted, burned out, frustrated, annoyed, disappointed, right? And so much of what we like to throw it out there with a hashtag burnout, right? So much of what we call burnout isn't the result of too much work. It's the result of too little emotional regulation. I truly believe that as a society, we're not overworked, and if we are overworked most of the time, it's not against our will. It's in our will. It's one way that we avoid. And we're going to talk about that conversation next week, right? We're not overworked. We're underregulated. And the body keeps the score. And if you've never read that book, it's a great support book for this conversation, or maybe this conversation is a great support for that book. Either way, it's rooted in science. It's rooted in understanding that thoughts are the language of the mind and emotions are the language of the body, right? I believe it's a hidden this emotional regulation or dysregulation is the hidden epidemic, right? As I mentioned, we talk about physical health all the time. Cardio and steps and gut health and macros and we wear all of these biohacking devices and Oura rings and Whoop straps and all of the things to get metrics, right? On our sleep and on our cardio and on our number of steps and our macros, right? But where are we biohacking our emotional health, right? And yet, science keeps proving what I'll just call ancient wisdom, what metaphysics already knows. Emotions, they speak, they have a language. that we have just not deciphered, right? And when they're suppressed, your body starts speaking louder. Inflammation rises, cortisol stays elevated, your immune system weakens, your hormones shift, right? Your cravings spike, your sleep gets shallow. There was a 20, it was either 2022 or 2023. There was a systemic review, like a holistic review that found that poor emotional regulation is consistently associated not with just higher inflammation, but autoimmune disorders, right? Not just sometimes, friends, not just on a rare occasion, every time, every single time, which means emotional mismanagement isn't just a mindset problem, it's a physiological one. So your body, I want you to think about it this way, your body literally becomes the battleground when your emotions go unmanaged. And so this is what I told my client. This is what I told many executives in the room that day. You can eat clean. You can track your sleep. You can track your HRV. You can track deep, light, all of it. You can track your respiratory rate. You can do every biohack on the market. But if you're constantly living in internal reactivity, if you're constantly in indulgent emotions, just labeling it that, well, that's just life, that's just leadership, that's just parenthood, right? If your emotions are trapped in your body, no amount of supplements, no amount of smoothies will fix what the nervous system keeps recreating. The nervous system runs the show, friends. It determines how much energy you have, how you digest, how you recover, how you connect, how you heal. And when that system is hijacked by unprocessed emotion, your body stays on high alert. That's when the real reason begins. The real reason that we don't feel good. The real reason we get sick. The real reason we are unhealthy. That's the real reason, right? The body is carrying what the mind avoids. So when you regulate your emotions, when you don't, pardon me, when you don't regulate your emotions, when you carry around what I'm calling this bitter pain, this indulgent pain, frustration, guilt, shame, anger, overwhelm, right? Your brain activates your stress response. Your amygdala sends a signal that you're not safe. When you're not safe, your nervous system prepares to fight, flee, freeze, fawn. Okay? It's your sympathetic system that gets jacked up, knocks you out of parasympathetic state, right? That means your adrenals are shot, your cortisol goes up, your blood pressure goes up, your blood sugar changes, inflammation. Okay? And in this state, you don't need a tiger to chase you anymore. Your thoughts are doing all of the chasing. And when your body lives in that loop long enough, you don't have energy for healing. You don't have energy for digestion. You don't have the physiological capabilities, the wherewithal for connection, for growth. And when that happens, guess what else happens, friends? You start to crave really quick hits of dopamine. Sugar, screens, shopping, scrolling, because your body's searching for temporary relief. Your body's searching for any way that it can just feel something. And that's when our health habits collapse, right? You overeat, you undermove, you underrest. Not because you lack discipline, right? But because your nervous system is hijacked by unmanaged emotion. So the real question isn't what's wrong with me? Where's my motivation? How come I'm not more disciplined? I've read all the books on habits. Why aren't they taking? We're asking the wrong question. The question isn't what's wrong with me, it's what's running me. And what's running you is emotion. And most of the time, my friends, unless you do this work, this work of emotional intelligence, this work of emotional regulation, and you choose how you think and how you feel on purpose, consciously, this emotion is unfelt. And unfelt feelings fester. They fester in cortisol response, autoimmunity, inflammation, okay? It's emotion that's unseen, okay? What does that mean? What does unseen emotions mean? It just means that you have denied yourself, you've abandoned yourself from experiencing you. You have discounted, dismissed you as a human. We would never do that. If somebody else brought us an emotion and gave it to us, we would sit with them, we would give them space. But us, we just push it down and we suppress it. And unprocessed. Those are the three things that we do by way of our emotions. And those are the very things that are running us. Unfelt, unseen, unprocessed emotions. So I want to share something really fascinating with you because I think it's really cool. And it's something that kind of changed the way that I think about emotion and energy and health. When I was studying at, Quantum University, there was this Japanese researcher named Masaru Emoto. Okay, Masaru Emoto, and he studied how human emotion and intention could affect the molecular structure of water, right? He discovered it's awesome. Like go do a quick YouTube. It's like a minute, 2 minutes long. Okay. He discovered that water exposed to words, right, of love and gratitude and compassion, right, formed beautiful symmetrical crystals when frozen. They look um, like sequencing of snowflakes. Okay. Water exposed to anger, hate, resentment, overwhelm, all of these indulgent emotions that I'm sharing with you froze. When those froze, chaotic, distorted shapes. Now, whether or not you believe the science was literal or symbolic, the insight in it, undeniable, undeniable. Our bodies, you, mine, 70% water. So if energy, if emotion can change the structure of water, and it can, imagine what your thoughts, your stress, and your self-talk are doing to you. Every emotion carries a frequency. Every thought carries chemistry. And together, they create your physiology. They create the environment that your cells live in. Another really good book by Bruce Lipton, The Biology of Belief. Fantastic book. So when you speak to yourself with irritation and guilt and disappointment, your body listens. It listens. And it also listens when you speak to yourself with compassion and grace and belief and love. It's not just the thoughts that you think about life, friends. It's the thoughts that you think about yourself. That's the gossip that we don't talk about. That's the gossip that when my executive came in to tell me about all of her team's gossip rituals, it wasn't until we shined some light on her internal gossip that a lot of things came into place for her. Those quiet internal conversations that shape our chemistry, our structure, and our health, they're important. They're important to bring a level of awareness to. And that is why emotional management, it's not soft work. It's scientific work. It's cellular work. Because when you shift the energy that you live in, you shift the environment your body can finally heal in. You don't have to believe in frozen water crystals to feel this truth. You've lived it. When you're angry, your body tightens. When you're grateful, it relaxes, right? When you love, your heart literally opens and expands. Your emotions are your body's instructions. And emotional regulation is simply learning to give your body better directions. So, what do we do with all of this? How do we heal this? How do we move from being emotionally hijacked to being emotionally healthy? We're not going to do it by controlling every emotion, every thought. We're not going to do it by pretending everything's fine. And we're definitely not going to bypass what hurts with toxic positivity. But we can begin with awareness. It's not about fixing your feelings. It's about feeling them fully, honestly, without letting them define you and without you blaming them on other people. Emotions have a language. We just don't speak it fluently because we've spent a lifetime avoiding it. What if your emotions were writing the prescription for your next level of healing and you just couldn't read it? I've said it before. Emotions are the language of the body. We learned English, right? To communicate with other people, to connect, to collaborate, to problem solve, to love, to be understood. But what if the same is true for our emotions? What if they've been speaking a dialect that we've never learned? A dialect of sensation, of breath, of tension, of release, right? Trying to get our attention, trying to communicate with us about what needs our attention, what needs expression, what needs healing, what needs truth, what needs discussed, what needs communicated. It's like traveling to a foreign country and realizing that you don't speak the language, right? You can get around, but you never feel at home. I believe that's why in the United States alone, 80+% of people say, suggest, denote, assess themselves as being anxious, right? We don't feel, I believe that all anxiety is just separation anxiety from ourselves, right? Because we never feel at home. We're missing the nuance. We're missing the intimacy. We're missing the connection. We don't know how to communicate with ourselves, right? We're living in the land of our own emotions. It feels foreign. We wake up in our own body every day, but we don't know how to speak to it. We also don't know how to listen to it, right? It's not the world outside of us that we're disconnected from, friends. It's the world within us. And we think about anxiety, I believe that anxiety is our own system screaming for our own attention, just wanting to wake us up, a signal inside that something needs to be seen, that something needs to be heard, that something needs to be held. And most of the time, friends, our anxiety isn't because of something dangerous outside of us. It's that disconnection within us. We've become estranged from ourselves. We've abandoned ourselves. And then we wonder why we feel so terrible. So what do? We start learning the language again. We begin to translate the signals to that our body sends us. We don't discount, dismiss, blame, right? When you have tightness in your chest, it's not weakness, it's communication. That lump in your throat, it's not anxiety. It's just emotion rising, asking to be acknowledged, asking you to speak truth. That knot in your stomach, intuition, trying to speak, to you before your brain can even catch up. Emotional regulation doesn't mean suppression, it means invitation. Okay? It truly is the practice of understanding this is what I'm feeling, this is where it's showing up, and this is what it's asking of me. This is why emotional management isn't just self-care. It's social care. It's leadership. It's culture creation. When you begin to learn to speak the language of your own emotions, you start helping others find the words for theirs. You give them permission to slow down, to name what they're feeling, to stop apologizing for being human. That's how trust is built with yourself and with others. When you tap into that, you will tap into a peace that feels unfamiliar, but feels incredibly safe. Understanding emotions, understanding what they're trying to tell you, right? That is leadership. That's the kind that doesn't demand more from others because they demonstrate more within themselves. And when you lead this way, when you regulate your emotions, your meetings shift, your home changes, your relationships deepen, and your health, your real sustainable health, starts to catch up with your consciousness. Because energy doesn't lie. Like I said, I could feel this lady walking before she came into the room. It leads. So the next time you find yourself in a room full of chaos, take a breath and remember that you are human and you are equipped to feel all of these feelings. Feeling these feelings, all of your feelings, aren't hard. What makes them hard is the resistance to them. So this week, I want you to notice your emotions before they become behavior. Don't push it away, pause with it. Breathe through it. Invite it to communicate with you in the only way that you know how. Right? Because when you regulate your emotions, everything changes. Your health, your habits, right? You don't have to work harder. We just get to feel better. So if this conversation resonated with you, I want you to know a couple of quick things. You're not alone. You're not behind. You're not broken. You're simply being invited back into a relationship with yourself. And that's the real work, isn't it? Coming home, learning the language of your own emotions, letting your body finally exhale. Because the real reason that we've been unhealthy is that we've been disconnected from our bodies, from our breath, from our own attention for too long. So as you move through this week, slow down, listen, feel, remember that you matter. And that every time you regulate your emotions, you're not just healing your body, you're healing your life. So thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for doing this work. Thank you for listening to this conversation. And thank you for beginning to feel and pay attention to you. We'll see you next time. Take care. Bye-bye. If this episode cracked something open, good. Let it. And then head to leahrollingcoaching.com and grab the tools to rewire the story and reclaim your future. It is yours. And then share this with someone who's still waiting to be chosen, still waiting for permission, and remind them they don't need a breakthrough, that they are the breakthrough. Until next time, my beautiful friends, invest in you and keep becoming.